When it comes time to secure that mortgage, credit is a big factor, right? So how do you build up your credit from scratch if you are struggling? There are ways to do it. Don't be frustrated. Don't give up. We have some tips coming up for you on the Smart Mortgage Show. Hello, welcome in. I'm Ben George along with Bill Litton. He is the regional president at Cross Country Mortgage. You can find them online, smartmortgageshow.com. They have the office there in Chadsford, Pennsylvania. And today the topic, Bill, is debt or credit tied into debt. But with credit, before we even get started, this is a major factor for your loan, your rate, the deal you're able to get, right? So you have to begin by having a good credit. And even if you don't, there are ways to work through it. But to start off, just talk about how important credit is to the process.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. Interesting thing about credit is I think these credit scoring agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, over the years, they've dialed it in and they keep changing their formula a little bit to represent what would be a good credit risk or not. So one thing I've seen is in the subprime lending world, you could have a really low credit score and they would still lend to you. Okay. In the newer, what we would call non-QM, it's not subprime, but they don't really lend on bad credit. They'll make exceptions for income. They'll make exceptions for assets. They'll make exceptions for employment, but they really want good credit. So, we always talk about the pillars of, you need to have credit, income, funds to close, and collateral. They're really the four pillars of buying a house. But I want to say that, credit might be at the top of that list as far as how important it is.
Okay. So as we go through this today, again, if you have any questions, we would love to hear from you. We appreciate all the feedback we get on YouTube. And for anyone listening to the podcast, 484-352-4151. So we're trying to help people build up their credit from scratch, Bill. And I know we've talked about this before, but it's important to reiterate that, even if you do have a bad credit score or you don't feel like your credit's anywhere near where it should be, and oftentimes that holds people back from wanting to look for a home, I think it's important to emphasize that there are ways to improve that, right? You don't have to just throw in the towel right away if you aren't in a position you want to be.
Yeah, definitely there are ways to improve it. If you have the right information, it's probably easier than you think. So definitely don't give up. We actually help our customers, our clients with credit repair. So we always give them, if there's a credit issue, we provide a plan for getting the scores to where they need to be.
Again, you can get that individualized plan by sitting down with Bill. Take advantage of that 15-minute mortgage and loan consultation as well. You can start by going to smartmortgageshow.com. All right, as we talk about building back credit, then Bill, let's give some actionable things that people can do. What's the first thing you'd recommend for someone trying to build up that credit?
So the first thing is, if you have a bad credit score because of delinquency, the first thing you have to do is start paying your credit card, car loan, student loan, whatever it is, you've got to start paying it on time. And when we say on time, if the due date's the first of the month, when the credit report will ding you is if it's over 30 days late. So as long as you don't pay anything 30 days late, it will not have a significant negative impact on your credit. So you could do every other thing we're talking about. If you're not paying your credit on time, your debts on time, it's never going to correct. And here's a quick little story is that there was a credit repair company called Lexington Law. They're out of business now because the federal government cracked down on these credit repair companies. But Lexington Law, they would collect $100 a month from you and tell you to do all these cool things on your credit. And the whole time I had clients that were working with them where they weren't paying stuff on time, but they're working with Lexington Law and they're like, yep, keep paying us and keep doing these things. And I don't even know if they ever told them that they had to pay these other active accounts online. And I had a customer one time who was like, guys, stop paying them. Unless you're going to pay the existing accounts online, your scores will never get better. So first thing is any existing credit, start paying it on time or nothing's going to change.
I think that's a hard message for a lot of people to get across too, right? It's so hard to push that. Just keep procrastinating on those payments. And I was in that boat at one point. When you build up your debt, you want to put it off as long as you can, right? You don't want to face face the music, I guess, so to speak. But being on time is so important, as you point out. And beyond that, should you be looking, like, say you start getting your payments on time, should you be looking at trying to pay off all that, a small portion? Like, what should your goals be? Because I know it can be overwhelming trying to say, okay, let's get rid of all this debt.
I think the first thing, Ben, to your point, is don't overwhelm yourself, and depending on where you are and what you can do, just start paying everything on time. That will get you into a pattern, and you'll start to see some increase in your scores. So just start simple and easy. Now, if you have the resources to pay things off, and we can help you to say, like, specifically and precisely pay this account down by $689, pay this one down by $2,476. And believe me, it gets very specific. But if you don't have those means, just start paying on time.
All right, we're talking about ways to build up your credit from scratch. What's something else that you often recommend people do that are looking to be in this position and improve where they stand?
So another really important thing is open a secured credit card. It's secured because, let's just say the limit on the card is $200. You're going to send them $200. They're going to keep it in a bank account, essentially. And what they're going to do is, if you go delinquent or you default on the card, they already have the $200 to pay it off. But that's not the goal, right? The goal is to use the credit card wisely. The beauty of it is that they're going to report your payment history to the credit bureau, and that is going to start to increase your credit scores. Where
do you find the secured cards? I don't know if this is something a product I'm not familiar with, but is it something that's offered everywhere?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say everywhere. If you went to your local bank for a secured card, they probably won't offer it. Online, there's a lot of good resources for it. There's different options. There's different types of secured cards. If you type into a Google search secured credit cards, you're probably likely to find some reputable lenders who offer those types of credit cards.
And that way you can just focus spending on that then, I guess, right? Rather than any other credit card that you might have.
Yeah. And look, if you have an open credit card and you can, utilize that to play the game the best way possible, then great. But if you don't, this is a way to get into paying credit on time. But playing the game is basically get a $200 secured credit card. Put your Netflix payment on that credit card. So it's $15 a month, right? Put the credit card and put it in a drawer. You're not taking it out. You're not using it. You're not running it up. With this, and then take your bank account and auto pay that credit card. So it's thoughtless. Every month, Netflix charges the card $15. Every month, your bank account pays the Netflix payment on that credit card. It, pays it in full every month. What this does is it creates a payment history, and it also, that credit card is going to be at a very low utilization ratio, meaning if the limit's $200 and you run it up to $200, you're at 100% utilization ratio. This is bad for your credit. If you have $15 on a $200 card, that's like a 7.5% utilization ratio. That's a really good low utilization ratio. That's a good benefit to your credit. Your scores are going to start to rise. So even if you have an existing card that, is maxed out, putting this new secured card and keeping it at a low utilization ratio is going to start to help and create a balance of, all right, we've got one that's not so good, but we've got one that's at a great utilization ratio. That's going to be big for your credit scores.
That's almost kind of I won't say a secret, but kind of maybe a tip to improving that credit utilization is typically to open up more credit lines, right? To kind of expand that number. So if you were owed 10,000 on 10,000, it's 100%. But if you open another line and you have an extra 10,000, you're at 50%. Not a good idea, right? If you're not good with that to begin with, though. But this secured credit card is kind of a way to do that, but also protect yourself from digging a deeper hole.
Yeah, sometimes what we do is we'll say, hey, open 2 or 3 of these, and then we kind of extrapolate out a year and say, if you keep the utilization ratio below 10% on these 3 new cards, and you continue to pay the one that's maxed out, now your scores really start to increase. If your credit's not that bad, maybe even we say, hey, go for a credit limit increase on the existing card, and now that automatically pushes the utilization ratio down on that card. So there are some tricks, and there's a little bit of gamesmanship to this. Like I know people who have plenty of money and really amazing credit, but their scores are low because of some of their habits. They're amazing credit risks, but they're not playing the credit score game, because how would they know to do that unless they did this every day?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult to try to do by yourself. That's why, someone like Bill can help you out and kind of give you some simple action items that you can do to start improving that. And you can see that reflected in your mortgage and your opportunities that are out there as you're trying to find that new home, secure, maybe that dream home that you have in mind. What else, Bill? Is there anything else we can be doing if we want to try to build up that credit score?
Yeah, I would say just lastly, if you have collection accounts or you have charge-off accounts, don't automatically assume that paying them is going to be beneficial, because there's a clock on those, and they kind of lie dormant and have very little effect over time. And by you paying it, the date of last activity on the account becomes very recent, and that can actually, you may pay off a collection account and it could drop your credit score. We don't want that, right? If you're going to pay off a collection that nobody's bothering you about and it's not going to hurt you qualify for a mortgage, why pay it off only for it to bring down your credit score? That wouldn't make any sense.
All right. Again, if you have questions, best place to start, smartmortgageshow.com. You can call Cross Country Mortgage, 484-352-4151. Take advantage of the free 15-minute mortgage and loan consultation. Bill, I guess this is a spot where you can maybe identify where somebody stands in terms of their credit and tell them their options versus maybe give them some things they can do to improve and come back for another opportunity to get a better rate.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's, hey, we've got a lot of work to do, but follow this plan and call us back in a year and check in with us from time to time if you have questions. Other times, Ben, it's, hey, you're in great shape, but if you do A, B, and C, we're going to bump your rate a little higher and you're going to get a discount on your interest rate. So there's a couple different ways that plays out.
All right. Very good. Well, hopefully this helps you out. I know if it can be very frustrating to have a low credit score and maybe feel like you're hopeless in a lot of cases, trying to find a good rate, trying to get into that home that you really have identified with and excited about. But there are ways to improve that. And hopefully this show kind of pointed to some of those. But again, if you have any further questions, reach out to Cross Country Mortgage. Bill is happy to sit down and talk with you about your options and find ways that he can be of service to you and to help you out and to improve your credit score moving forward. Bill, as always, thanks for your time. We appreciate all the insight you always share, and we'll do it again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
This program is for informational purposes only. Please consult a qualified professional before taking any action. Bill Litton is a loan advisor and regional president with Cross Country Mortgage, NMLS number 147060.